Hello and welcome to Rockies Recap, a part of the Rockies Now podcast network. My name is Steven, right there is co-host Tom. What did I say in the last recap video? Folks, find that clip. I was going to clip it. I might still do that and post it on our social media pages, but I didn't really predict, but I think I said something along the lines of if the Rockies win a series against the Rangers, it would be the most Rockies thing ever. And guess what happened? They swept the Rangers. Not only won the series, but they swept the Texas Rangers. Not only that, but the Rangers. I think they had won, was it 8 of the last 12 games, and they were on a
Mhm.
really good streak. And coming to Coors Field, you're like, oh boy, here we go again. You're probably going to get swept, or at least lose the series, and you're not going to even see 10 wins until like late May, at least, or at least going to the Padres series. And it just, the Rockies, they absolutely controlled this series when it came to pitching, offense, defense too. I mean, come on, like the defense today was unbelievable. Gold Glove plays from everybody: Brenton Doyle, Jordan Beck, Brendan Rodgers, Ezekiel Tovar, Ryan McMahon. Even Montero made a couple really good plays at first base defensively. And so yeah, I mean, overall, great series for the Rockies, and here we are at Game One um, for the Rockies on Friday. Went to Jake Bird, the Birdman, lost to Anderson, and then the save went to Jalen Beeks, who has been kind of like the new closer, I guess, for the Rockies. Um, but yeah, I mean, we saw some really good at bats, especially from Charlie Blackmon, who's starting to get hot, as we saw later in the series, and was really key to not today's win, but yesterday's win on City Connect Saturday. But he got a big hit on Friday. I believe it was. I want to say it was a. I thought he got on. I think he got on base or on third base or something like that. It was a crazy. I think it was a double or single. Yeah, I think it was a single. But Diaz, he got a couple knocks. Rogers and Doyle, they're starting to get hot. I think Rogers has like a 6 or 7 game hitting streak, which is good to see. His average is well, this was of course Friday, 252. Doyle again, it's so good to see, and I think what was a BR walk off on Instagram. I think it's obviously Bleacher Report, but they put. I mean, this is kind of a stretch in my opinion, but still, it's kind of nice to see. But they put Doyle right under Mike Trout as the second best center fielder in baseball right now.
The
Um,
power rankings, yeah.
yeah, the power rankings, and it's just like that's kind of nice to see. I mean, there's a couple other guys that you could arguably put above Doyle, but again, Doyle, I think is for this year. Doyle's been again one of the best, defensive and obviously offensive uh, center fielders in baseball. And Jake Cave, he even got a knock. Montero, he got a knock there as well. But really, again, the story of one thing that really helped the Rockies this year was the pitching. Like, Gomber only gave up 1 earned run in almost 7 innings of work, 2 walks, 5 strikeouts. Look at that ERA, 3.43, where a guy like last year, he was really struggling, having trouble commanding his pitches. And the Rockies really haven't had, or at least in the series, they didn't really struggle in terms of command. 4 walks is, it's not a great number, but the Rockies, they were a little bit better pitching wise. Lawrence kind of got rubbed up in that 7th or 8th inning there. I believe it was the 7th inning. And then Jake Bird, he got a couple strikeouts there. Jalen Beeks, he's having a nice year so far, 245. So, yeah, I mean, the Rockies, you look at the key moments here. Diaz got a single. Of course, Corey Seager, which, again, whenever you face him, I mean, he faced the Rockies many times when he was with the Dodgers organization. But the Rockies, they came back, and it was a back and forth game. But again, Blackmon in that bottom of the 8th inning, he got that double. I'm not sure. Okay, there it is. For some reason, I didn't see it, but there we go. So, yeah, I mean, it was a back and forth game, but the Rockies, they battled their way back in this series, especially in Game One. So that was really nice to see.
Well, particularly this game, specifically in game one, I don't want to call it the Austin Gomber show, but excuse me, but it is a game where we did need a quality start from him, which is what we got. As you and I, particularly, we pointed out, in his last. I think he only has one start where he's allowed 3 or more runs this season. I might be wrong. I might have to fact check that one. But John Gray, I mean, this first game was about his big return. How was he going to we knew the crowd would not react in a unpleasant manner. He made the best decision for his career, as you and I commented on the last thing previewing this series. And Gomber, he was great. I mean, somebody on Twitter comments about, oh, he only had 5 strikeouts and such. Well, he's not a big time strikeout pitcher. He's not your Spencer Strider or your Chris Sale who's going to strike out 200 plus a season. But we needed that from him. And I got to say, to your thing about Jalen Beeks, I think he's settling just fine in as the, I guess, new closer because he closed Friday's game and he closed today's game out. And I got to say one thing, I kind of went back and looked at his history. He's had a number of good seasons with success. He's never been a bona fide the closer in the ninth inning guy. So it's good to see him. I got to say, more and more I watch him pitch, I like his release, how he kind of hides the ball below his hip. And then and as he comes back, he hides it in front of his behind his body here, and he just kind of has that short, quick snap release, like how a catcher pops up when they throw to second base. So I really like it with him as the closer, because he definitely has, not only in close and safe situations, but in other situations where he come out of the pen with runners in scoring position. He has had a couple of high leverage clutch moments this year, but all in all, the pitching in this game specifically, and we'll talk about more in the series, was great overall. And it's unfortunate we had to spoil John Gray's return to Coors Field, but hey, like as you pointed out, the Rockies battled in this entire series and specifically in game one. And I think it was also I believe it was in game one, Brendan Rodgers had 2 highlight reel web gems in second base, both were robbing hits up the middle.
Yeah, and sometimes it's hard to forget, uh, or not hard to forget, whatever you think it. But he won a Gold Glove just a couple years ago, and
2021.
it's just, you hope that he can stay healthy, and so far, fingers crossed, he has, and that's great to see, because I think if he can stay healthy, a full 162, I think he's going to definitely be a Gold Glove finalist at second base easily. I mean, with the pedigree that he has defensively, one of the better second basemen in baseball in terms of defense. Like the Rockies, they have a bunch of these infielders, McMahon, Tovar, who were Gold Glove finalists last year. Rogers is going to be that, I believe, this year. So, yeah.
By the way, I was real quick. Sorry to cut you off, but yeah, I'm sorry. 2022, I was wrong. So correction.
2022. Okay.
Yeah. So correction. Sorry, I had to. And real quick, fast comment, just to sidetrack a little bit. His slash line is now up to 258, 303, 347 with a 79 OPS plus. Not great, but like you said, he had a rough start, so he's climbing.
Yeah, and I want to say when he hit that famous 3-homer game against Miami in 2022, that was in late May. So I feel like this is just me, but I'm going to say that Rogers is going to get on a hot streak here, maybe starting in this series. But I feel like guys like Nolan Jones and Rogers, they're the type of guys that get hot around this time of year. You're at the end of May going into June. I feel like a lot of players do that. Like Nolan Jones last year when he got called up, immediately started making an impact. So that's just a prediction, I guess, for me, is that Rogers is gonna, he's gonna start hitting, and we're already starting to see that. So hopefully that keeps up. But yeah, John Gray, it was kind of. I'm not gonna lie, it was kind of weird seeing him in a Rangers uniform on Friday, because I'm so used to seeing him in a Rockies uniform. And I went to a game in 2018. It was the start against the Mariners, and some people might know what start that is. I think it was when he pitched, I think through the 7th or the 8th inning, and it was an unbelievable start, because up to that point, Gray was having a horrible start to 2018, and I think a lot of Rockies fans will remember that. And he had a really good start against the Mariners in, I think it was late. I think it was in July of 2018, and it was a really good start. And ever since then, I was like, I'm a big John Gray guy. I really liked him, and I wanted the Rockies to bring him back. And of course, they wanted to bring him back, but he decided to move on. But it was kind of weird. Again, it was weird seeing him at Coors Field, but in a different uniform, and he pitched pretty well. Like he pitched like John Gray usually did for at least part of his Rockies career. He would have some really good starts, and he would have, of course, not so good starts. But it was, regardless, it was still good to see him. And of course, it was nice to hear some of those comments about the Rockies fans at the end of the game, and how it was just awesome. I think Patrick Lyons has some videos about that on his Twitter page. So go check that out if you haven't already. Great follow over there on X. But yeah, John Gray had a good game, but overall, great game by Austin Gomberg. Good pitching by the Rockies there. Game 2, which was yesterday, City Connect Saturday. Yeah, I mean, much of the same stuff. I mean, the offense was clicking, especially in that 7th inning, as you can see there. Tyler Kinley, we've talked about before, but his ERA not looking good, but his record is good. It's bueno. It's really, really juicy good. I like my steak that way. But anyways, let's where's the box score? There we go. Rogers, yeah, two for five. Tovar got a hit. I like how Tovar is leading off in some of these games. Mac went 4 for 5. I think it's a case, and I might write about this either on our website or with Rock's Pile. But I think Mac might be the guy to go to the All-Star game this year if this keeps
Mhm.
up. I mean, this is a guy that I think definitely deserves it after. I feel like he got robbed in 2021 when he had that really hot start. And I just feel like again, I feel like he got robbed, and I feel like he's ready to at least be that lone all star, at least for the Rockies. The Rockies could have two out of nowhere if somebody just does extremely well. Maybe somebody in the bullpen like Jalen Beeks or Nick Mears or somebody like that. But McMahon, he's having a nice season so far, 303. But yeah, he went 4 for 5. Diaz went 2 for 5. Um, let me see here. Montero, I think he came in defensively at first base. Doyle, he got another knock. Jacob Stallings has arguably been one of the more exciting guys to watch on the Rockies team, and this is a guy that barely hit last year, and really the Rockies, I feel like they signed him, and I think a lot of us can agree that I think they really signed him for his backup capabilities and for his
Mhm.
defense. Nobody, like, if you would have told me that Stallings was one of, if not our best hitter in terms of average, of course, it's a small sample size because he's not starting every day, but he has been playing a little bit more than we've expected him to, because there's going to be some games where he'll catch and Diaz will be DHing, because if you remember last year, Diaz was catching a lot,
Mhm.
and there would be days where he went DH and he needed a day off, and Austin Wentz had to start, or when Brian Servin was still here, he had to start. So Jacob Stallings, he's actually been playing pretty well, and he got 2 RBIs. That was a big knock in that 6-run inning there. That was huge. I think that gave the Rockies the lead, or extended the lead there. Hunter Goodman, he got his, second home run, which I think 2 of his hits this year have been for home runs. So he has 2 home runs in the year. Average, yeah, it's not good, but it's again small sample size. He just got recalled, I want to say a week or two ago. So good for Goody there. Blackman, of course, and this is I'll say this. So there was that ejection yesterday, and we don't want to go too long about this, but Bud Black got ejected for what was it, that call at second base because Tovar stole for second,
Yeah.
and I think he was safe, because if you look at the replay, yeah, his hand got off, but then he put his foot on immediately as his hand went off, and they first called him safe, then they said he's out. Well, then Bud Black wanted a challenge, and for some reason they said nope, you're out of time, because you have to do it in a certain amount of time, and Bud Black obviously wasn't happy. He got ejected. It was kind of funny. But anyways, Mike Redmond was the acting manager later in that game. And one move I absolutely love what Redmond did is that he pinch hitted Charlie Blackman, and Blackman got that big knock, that triple, in later in the inning. And that was just perfect. And I think I'm I'm not saying this is it's Bud Black is doing it wrong, but we need to see more stuff like this. I think we need to see more pinch hitting in the lineup, and I think Mike Redmond did an excellent job. And I don't know. I mean, if Bud Black were to get fired or step down or whatever, I wouldn't be mad with Mike Redmond, because he's had managing experience in Miami, even though the team didn't have great success. But I mean, Miami doesn't have a good ownership or front office either, and Mike Redmond had to deal with that. But hats off to Mike Redmond for making that call there to bring in Blackman. And then Jordan Becky got a knock there as well. But yeah, I mean, the offense was clicking. The pitching for Ryan Feltner was good once again. 6 innings, 5 hits, 2 runs, 2 walks, 4 strikeouts. Kind of like Gomber, Feltner's not much of a strikeout guy, but he did get, what was it, like 9 or 10 strikeouts a couple weeks ago in Miami. So Jake Bird got another appearance. Tyler Kinley did pretty well, and then Nick Mears, he closed out the game. So that was good to see. So yeah, again, Tom, this was another game where the Rockies, they just completely owned the Rangers, the pitching and the offense.
Well, it's like we commented before, and we'll continue to talk about in the series. The Rockies pitching, I guess you can. I always say, or and not just me, but a lot of people in baseball say the pitcher's job, is particularly the starter, is to give your team a chance to win a ball game. And that's exactly what they did. So Gomber did just that, and Ryan Feltner. I look back at that start in Miami where he was dealing and things just all of a sudden fell completely out of control after he took at that final end of the game. It's good to see that typically, you have just that moxie where you let something awful like that, just you put it behind you and you move on. That's exactly what he's done. And because some guys who don't have that mental just fortitude just to continue to put a bad game behind you, just completely fall off the wagon and just fall
Mm-hmm.
apart. He has not done that, and he was fantastic yesterday. And like I said, the bullpen definitely backed him up, and the offense, like I said, they gave the offense a chance, and then in the seventh inning, the Rockies offense just said, "Let's take off," and here we go. And what was it? Didn't we did have the team cycle, didn't we, in that whole inning?
Mm-hmm.
Didn't we?
Yeah.
That's right. So and who was it? We were close to an individual cycle, but we did not get that. But
Yeah.
I gotta say about Rymack, he has been one of the team's better hitters of the last several years. And this year, he has really just taken that. You just see the confidence in him, and he's just taking that in stride. He knows how great he is, or what he can, and he knows that he can even be better. And he's just really, really taking it with that chip on his shoulder and just going ahead with it. And like I said, he had a 4-hit game yesterday. And like I said, if he continues to hit like this, now he is definitely, if there's only one, he is the Rockies representative. You could say Diaz could be in the running among catchers. I mean, I have to look at how other catchers are doing around the National League. You could definitely throw who I was going to say one more. I mean, if Tovar goes on a streak, you could throw his name into that hat for sure. But I would definitely think McMahon and Diaz are the two frontrunners. And heck,
Mm.
if Gomber, I think I'm gonna. You could say a hot take on this one. If Gomber continues to pitch like he did on Friday and continues to have consistent quality starts, he could throw his name in the hat in the pool for starting pitchers for the National League All Star team. You never know.
Yeah.
I
Yeah.
de-
There's always that guy that has that injury and then they need somebody to back him up. I feel like
yep.
that happens every single year.
Oh yeah.
Um,
Always.
Quantrill could be in that mix too. I mean, Quantrill's
Yeah.
actually been kind of
Sure.
good. I mean, he's arguably been the Rockies' best starting pitcher to this point, or at least consistent pitcher for the Rockies in the rotation. Um,
I think
and
it
so,
was
yeah, I agree. Yeah.
sorry. Oh, real quick. I think it was Lux who commented to me. He predicted that I think it was Quantrill and Gomber were combined for 20 wins this year. The win
Yeah.
part's about to happen, but I think I did reply to him. Both could have a an ERA below 3.5, which I think both
Yeah.
can. They've been the two best starting pitchers that we have, and with Kyle Freeland out and Marquez still on the mend from Tommy John surgery, they have stepped up, just taken the bull by the horn, so to speak, and
Hmm.
just carried this rotation forward. Or sorry, just pulled this rotation forward, you could say.
Yeah.
And obviously some of the other guys, not to say like Feltner and Hudson, aren't doing well at all. They've had their fair share of struggles, but they're not letting it get to them at all. So overall, this was, like I said, this could have been a close game, but our offense just said, nope, we're going to make this. We're going to add some insurance to this one.
Hmm. Yeah, and then today's game, which it was going to be interesting because again, these are two
Mhm.
former teammates, in
Mhm.
Ty Block and Jose Urania, Rockies legend, and I'll never forget last year. I don't know.
Yeah.
Well, this is obviously before you came on board, but I
Mhm.
remember the DFA Urania comments. You probably remember
Mhm.
that. And
Mhm.
Urania, he had a really bad start, as we remember last year. I mean, there would be times where he was okay, but the problem was command, and he just or it was either command or he just didn't place his pitches correctly. He did that a couple
Mhm.
times today, including the one to Tovar, which Tovar got the home run. Um, I mean, Urania wasn't bad. I mean, this year he's has a 3.62 ERA, but again, pitching away from Coors Field. But he had so many times last year where he had an opportunity to get out of the inning, but then he would just give up like a slider right down the middle of the plate, right in the heart of the plate, and it would be knocked for a double or triple, and it would score 2 or 3 runs. And as we know, singles, bloop singles, and doubles in Coors Field is a big no-no, and I feel like it killed Urania to the point where they had to DFA him. And last year the Rockies kind of like are this year. They're desperate for pitching. It was so bad for Urania that they decided to DFA him, and so but still, he had a okay start, pretty good start. He only gave up 2 runs there in the first, but again, not really a big offensive day. I mean, it was a little bit of a cooler day at the ballpark at Coors Field, but it was more of a pitching duel, and it's kind of funny because again, these two pitchers like Ty Block and Urania, they're not the typical 3 or 4 ERA guys. These are, and
Mhm.
I like my initial thoughts heading into this game was like, this is going to be like a 10-11 game. And I was like, we're probably going to see like a 5 or 6 run inning first by somebody. And, it was kind of looking that way in the first inning. As you can see there, Rangers scored 1 and the Rockies scored 2. And I was like, yeah, it's going to be one of those games. But then all these zeros out of nowhere at Coors Field, and the starting pitchers are Ty Block and Urania. It was so weird. Like today's
Mhm.
game was so weird. It was good, but it was weird. But we've seen craziness on Mother's Day too, because I think last year on Mother's Day, I think a lot of people remember the benches clearing between the Phillies and the Rockies,
Oh, yeah.
and it was just like it had to be on Mother's Day, and all the moms were watching, and there's a fight going on, and it's just like that is just yeah. Um, but yeah, offensively, I mean, Tovar got the home run fourth of the year. Blackman, he got another knock. He's starting to get hot. I mean, I think was it a couple weeks ago, he was hitting like 220 something, and so he's starting to get hot. And he's amazing. He's a legend. And if this is his last year, I mean, I'm gonna miss him, but it'd be kind of
Mhm.
nice to see him come back. But again, I know a lot of people wouldn't be happy with those comments, and I mean, I wouldn't blame them because you do want to see like Goodman and Montero and even Toglia get those starts. But
Mhm.
I mean, with the veteran presence of Charlie Blackman, you kind of need him in that lineup because of it, like somebody was telling me just today that he's probably the most clutch player on this team, and you kind of need him. You need his bat, especially in moments where you need a base hit. When the game's tied or you're down by 1, you need a guy like Charlie Blackman. But Matt got another knock, 1 for 4. Rogers, he 2 for 3. Yeah, like again, I think he's getting high. 268 now. It's 670 OPS. Jake Cave, I did like how they brought him in. Of course, it was a lefty righty matchup late in I believe it was the 8th inning. He got a walk. Good plate discipline by Cave. He does have good plate discipline, a little bit more so than Hale Castro and Jerkson Profar from last year, because there would be so many at bats last year that we were pulling our hair out, because just like, why would you pinch hit for Harold Castro or Jerkson Profar? And they're not very good when it comes to plate discipline. But good job by Cave to get that walk there, because that was crucial to help that inning for the Rockies to get that 1 run there for insurance. Doyle, he's hitting still 1 for 3. Goodman, 0 for 3. Montero, he came in defensively at first, did get in a bat, got into that double play to end the 8th inning. But Beck, he got another hit, so that was good to see. Again, nice to see Jordan Beck get some of these at bats, especially probably most likely with him. Like it's looking likely he'll probably get sent down to AAA, for more playing time once Nolan Jones or Chris Bryant, or both of them get recalled from AAA from their rehab assignments, which is going to be coming, I think, this Tuesday, because tomorrow Albuquerque has the day off. So make sure you're staying tuned to our pages just for information about that, because we're trying to make sure we get you guys the newest updates and news about the Rockies and when it comes to injuries and all sorts of stuff. Um, but yeah, I mean, and then the pitching, Ty Block was actually really good. He pitched 5 innings, and there's always that chance that he's going to pitch maybe 2 or 3 innings. It was more like a bullpen game, but he threw 70 pitches today. 46 of them were strikes. Vodnik came in, did extremely well. I mean, look at this ERA, 193 on the season, and his so far his first full season with the Rockies. Last year got traded, obviously, from the Braves to the Rockies.
Mm.
Had some experience late in the season. Kinley had a good inning, and then Jalen Beeks closed the door. Did give up 2 hits there, but again, the Rockies got a double play and I think it was a ground ball, or no, it was a pop up
Mm.
to end the game. It was a collision between Montero and Diaz. That was a little bit scary, but I think they were all good after the game. So again, like really the definition is that the Rockies, they completely controlled the Rangers this series offensively and defensively. The defense again was phenomenal today. It was probably the best we've seen it in a long, long time, probably since Chulo, Nolan, and even Trevor Story were with the Rockies. I mean, today was just fantastic. Overall, great game for the Rockies. It felt good, and now the Rockies, I can't believe I'm saying this, but they have a 4-game winning streak after starting the season, 8-28. How about that?
No, it's awesome. I mean, real quick on today, yeah, Block. Watching him in Urania pitch is kind of like an episode of The Twilight Zone where you don't. It really just kind of like as
Yeah.
you said. I would agree with you. I was expecting this game either to be a close blowout or a game where one of the pitchers really just falls apart, the other just has his best stuff. And in this case, they both had their best stuff. And quick thing about Urania, I did remember last year after the Rockies DFA'd him, he only pitched 18 and a third innings for the Rockies. He then went to my White Sox, and
Yeah, I remember that. Yeah.
he pitched 26 in the third innings, and of course, his ERA was about half of what it was with the Rockies. But
Yeah.
He's been in the big leagues for of course, he's been in the big leagues for 10 years, and he just passed his qualified 7 years of service time. So, hey, he keeps sticking around. Maybe he'll get that. Maybe he'll at least get that. What is it? The next big marks for a big leaguer in terms of service time is 8 years and then 10 years. So he could get close to that. You never know. But yeah, today, like I said, I've always been praising Victor Vodnik, and again, it's great to see that he's still just being that reliable lights out. I don't want to say necessarily lights out, but just that just very reliable reliever for us. His ERA is now down to 1.93, as you mentioned out. And of course, not only did we have 3 double plays in this game by the Rockies defense, but we also had a couple of interesting things. Rogers got his first steal of the season, and Jordan Beck got his first steal of his major league career.
Yeah.
And Doral, of course, got his 7th. So those are some big things I definitely want to think worth mentioning. And like I said, Rogers with him going 2 for 3, and that inning where who is it? Hernandez, is it Hernandez or Fernandez?
Yeah, Hernandez, I think. Yeah.
It was Hernandez. He was pitching, and then Roger started the 3 walk streak right there. That was a great at bat by him. Yeah, I know he was looking to get his 3rd hit of the ball game, but he just said, "Nope, let me just sit back and let it come through." And he just was patient. And I think it was full count when he drew the walk too.
Yeah.
And then of course Jake Cave. That guy's a professional. I don't want to say a pure professional, but that guy's a veteran who knows what to do. And like I said, if I was just like Doyle, if I was Doyle coming up after him, I'm saying I'm not swinging until he throws me a strike.
Mm-hmm.
And then of course Montero got a little too antsy, tried to do too much, and then he ended up getting there. But all in all, not too many hits. I don't want to say too many. The Rockies had 7 hits, but it was 7 hits that got the job done. And like I said, the pitching was great. All in all, it's awesome to see that this is our first series win of the season. But then, of course, the cherry on top of that Sunday is a sweep. I mean, how much more? I mean, how
against the World Series champions too?
Yeah, exactly.
Couldn't be perfect, more perfect.
And I just, of course, double checked the standings. I had to make sure I was correct before I said this. They were in first place. Now, after the sweep, they're out of first place. The Mariners have now jumped them in the standings for the American League West.
Yeah, so we got a lot of comments on Instagram from a lot of Mariners fans and Mariners fan pages saying, "Hey, thank you for Mariners
welcome.
Fans. We love you."
Don't worry, Mariners. I still remember in my preseason predictions, I got you guys making the playoffs.
And it's even better that the Astros are not doing well, and not to mention, was it my dad actually told me right before we started that apparently some of the Astros players are already talking negatively about their manager Joe Espada.
Yeah, well, the thing about him is he's been interviewed, and I think I wouldn't be surprised if he's been offered over the last several years because he's been serving as Dusty's right-hand man, and they've been grooming him to be the manager when Dusty left.
Yeah.
So, and I think I heard rumor it was either the Yankees, I think a couple other teams. The White Sox, I know, interviewed him for when Tony La Russa left. So he's had opportunities to leave, and here's his chance, and
not doing very well.
It's not turning out the best. I mean, and it's not an ideal situation for the front office because Jim Crane has been, especially I feel bad for Joe because you're supposed to have this lights out bullpen because you got Presley and Josh Hader and just oh my goodness.
Yeah, I thought that they had a chance to turn everything around when they played against us in the Mexico series because that was like the
Mhm.
old Houston Astros. It's like, yeah, they're
Right.
probably gonna start getting.
Yeah.
But right after that, they just went back to their normal selves. It's just like, okay, I mean, as a Rockies fan and as a person that really has grown to dislike him ever since 2019. I mean, this is a team that actually, before we found out about the cheating scandal, I actually kind of liked the Astros.
Mhm.
But then when I found out, and I think when everyone found out what was going on, it's just like it was a big black eye to them and to baseball. Um, but uh, but yeah, going back to like when you were talking about Hernandez today, going back to last night too, Daniel Robertson. Um, this is a guy that's an elite bullpen arm. He didn't even record one single out. And I don't know if you saw the game, and you might have seen the inning where he was pitching, and he was
Mhm.
yelling at himself. I think he hit a couple batters, and one of them was like really close to you know getting Diaz in the head or
Mhm.
upper shoulder area. And some people thought was that on purpose. And he yelled at himself and he yelled to Diaz, "Hey, my bad, bro. Not my fault. That was my fault." But it's just like, and I think a lot of it had to do with too, maybe because of the rain, because of a wet ball is extremely hard to throw a baseball in cold, wet weather.
Mhm.
Baseball players know what I'm talking about. I mean, talk to Rockies relievers. It'd be kind of cool to have Justin Lawrence or Lucas Kilbreth, Rockies legend and Colorado native, come on here. Maybe hey, let us know if you're watching this. Hey, let us know if you want to see some Rockies players on here. We'll try to do
Mhm.
that. But um, again, good at bats. I mean, 2 hits against Robertson, 4 runs, 1 walk, no strikeouts. I mean, they even got to Leclerc a little bit. And Leclerc, of course,
Mhm.
he's having not a great year. I mean, but still, this is a guy that closed out or was a closer in the World Series last year. Big part of that bullpen there. I mean, I think coming into the series, the Rangers, their struggle has been their bullpen, but everything else has been clicking for them. But like again, uh, yeah, I mean the Rockies, they've been bad. Let's be honest, but still, you're playing the World Series defending champion Rangers here, who coming into the series were 22 and I believe 17 or 16, and it's just like, and they were playing the Giants that are much worse than the Rangers. Well, maybe I shouldn't say much worse. Maybe that's a little bit putting it too kindly, but you're taking on one of the better teams in baseball, and the Rockies, they just took care of them like it was nothing, and it was just really good to see. And as a Rockies fan, it just like this is probably going to be the happiest we'll ever be this year. But who knows? Maybe their streak will continue. But like I feel like the players, they needed this,
Mhm.
especially after the start of 8-28. Like I feel like the players are they're still hanging together, they're still pulling together, and as we already know, we've been talking about this since last year. But the clubhouse has been is really in good vibes right now. Like despite losing all these games, and they know that they aren't where they want to be, but the clubhouse is in really good spirits right now, and it's really good to see that especially some of the young players, are starting to get their at bats in, and even some of the veteran players are starting to, you know, have good at bats and kind of setting the example, set the table for the Rockies young players to succeed at the major league level, and it's just really, again, it's really exciting to see. And it's really it kind of like, I'm not gonna lie, like today over the last 3 or 4 days, it's like giving me that Cincinnati Reds vibe of last year, where the Reds had a horrible start, then they called up Ellie De La Cruz, and all this magic started to happen. I'm not saying that's gonna happen. Don't do it, like, don't take this out of context. But hey, I predicted the Rockies to win the series, all right? Or I said about the Rockies winning the series against the Rangers. So I'm gonna go out and say maybe the Rockies will, I don't know, go to 10 game winning streak. I don't know. But like even your White Sox, they're on a winning streak too. They've like won 4 or 5 in a row now. Something like that.
They had a 4-game winning streak, but
Oh, they lost.
that was ended today with today's loss.
Okay. Never mind then. But anyways,
But still, I get your point.
yeah, yeah, but like it's been nice to see like the Rockies get 4 straight wins, and I think last year the most they ever got in a row was like 4 or 5, something like that. I think it was 5. It was like back in September when they played like I think the Cubs and the Giants at Coors Field.
Mhm.
But again, really good to see, and again, first sweep since actually last year against the Brewers. It was actually May the 4th weekend. I remember that, so I thought that was really cool. And somebody, I saw something on Twitter say today that the Force was with us in this series. And so as a Star Wars fan, as both Tom and me as Star Wars fans, we believe that we believe that the Force was definitely with us in this series. So anyways, oh yeah, by the way, my lightsaber is coming on too today. So
Can't wait to see it.
yeah, I'm gonna send you pictures. And so anyways, and unfortunately, I know a lot of Rockies fans are like, what color is it? Is it purple? No, I got red. I'm sorry, Rockies fans. But I guess like my final comments again is just really good series. I mean, I was kind of worried coming into it because the Rangers, I mean, they were doing really well, but the Rockies, they completely owned the Rangers. And again, really positive to see that the Rockies actually be competitive and really shut down the Rangers lineup, especially against guys. I feel like nobody in that lineup had a good series. Like Simeon didn't have a good series. Like
No.
like there's only a couple guys. Like I feel like the hottest hitters in the series for the Rangers were like Ezekiel Duran and Tavares, and that was it. Like we never saw anything huge from Jonah Heim or Adolis Garcia. And like Garcia's having coming into the series, he was having a nice year, and all of a sudden he had 3 strikeouts yesterday, and so it's just like it's nice to see the Rockies pitchers actually pitch well, and we've been seeing that over the last few days.
Well, one thing I can tell when you bring up the point about keeping Seager and Simeon hitters like Simeon, Seager, and Garcia at bay,
Yeah.
there's always in strategy meetings before every series. I know that the hitters and the hitting coaches go over. I mean, sorry, the pitchers and the pitching coaches always go over. Okay, we're gonna try to not let these guys beat us. That's
Mhm.
exactly what they did. They neutralized the Rangers' best hitters. When you do that, you're basically telling the guys who are not part of the heart of the lineup or part of the bottom third or half of the lineup, saying, "Hey, we're neutralizing your best guys. Try and beat us."
Mhm.
And also another thing is when you give great teams extra outs, they will beat you. And that's happened a number of times for the Rockies against great teams like the Padres. When I remember the last series against the Padres, the Rockies just kept making bloop mistakes,
Mhm.
mental errors, and the Padres took advantage of it. And that's what happens in this series. They were clean. I mean, as we commented, the defense was sharp. We didn't give them extra outs, and our pitching kept their lineups at bay, and our offense just did the job for it. And
Mhm.
it was great. And so, but with the Padres here, we gotta be definitely sharp, especially in game 2 because Dylan Cease is pitching for the Padres.
Yeah. And let's look at the series starting tomorrow. I think is it a 3-game series? I
Yes,
believe
3,
it's yeah.
3, 3.
As you can see, Randy Vasquez getting the start for the Padres. Not a big strikeout guy, more of a pitch to contact guy, but he's having an okay year, 4.50 ERA. Again, now yeah, I think most of his starts have been decided by the bullpen there. But really, all you wish for for the Rockies is to just be competitive, kind of like do what they did in the Rangers series. Just stay competitive, stay close in those games, and let the offense. And of course, the offense is probably going to struggle a little bit more on the road because again, you're not playing at Coors Field. You're not having
Mm,
to worry about those bloops or anything like that. But yeah, Dakota Hudson getting a start, and the name for Hudson this year has been really like the ERA has been obviously not good. We all know that, but I think the biggest takeaway for me for Dakota Hudson is that in his starts, he's had 0 run support. I feel like in most of his starts, the Rockies, if they want to win this game and continue the nice winning streak, they have to get Hudson some runs on the board, and it just that hasn't happened yet. And can the Rockies win this game? I think they can, especially after the last 4 games they've been playing. I mean, again, they just swept the Rangers, but um, you're going against a lineup that is pretty good. You have Tatis, Machado,
mhm.
Luis Ariz, who they just got in a trade from Miami, Alexander Bogarts, all these players, Cronenworth. Um, and the Padres, they just won a series against the Dodgers, so it's going to be a tough series all around. But it's all about who's more hot, who's the better team at that moment, at that time. And I mean, both teams are hot. I mean, I think this is going to be definitely an interesting series to watch. And I think, in I think majority of the games last year, the Rockies played in San Diego. Of course, I think the first series was the start of the season. The Rockies split a 4-game series in San Diego, and then the last series was I think in like the last few weeks of the season.
Mm.
And the Rockies, they really were just like tired out. They were ready to end the year. I think they got swept in San Diego, but the Rockies. I think this is going to be a good series for both teams. I think this is going to be a must watch if you're a fan of both teams. So I'm looking forward to it. Again, starting tomorrow. at 7:40 Mountain Time. So make sure you're staying tuned for that. And however, the worst thing about the East Coast, not East Coast, West Coast games is like these games, at least for me, don't end until like 11 sometimes or 12. Like there's been times I'll never forget, like this was back in like 2013, 2014 or 2015. There was that like, I want to say it was like a 14 or 15 or 16 inning game in LA. And it was like I couldn't stay awake. I had to go to sleep. But the Rockies won that game, but I'm like, so I don't know. It's just one of those things. I kind of wish that they started earlier on the West Coast, but just my opinion. Um, but yeah, it should be an interesting series here for the Rockies against the Padres, and after that they had to play the Giants. But I think our recap will be probably next Wednesday afternoon. I think because
Mhm.
next Wednesday afternoon, or Wednesday evening, and then Thursday we'll have our podcast, and then we have the series recap against the Giants on next Sunday. So again, folks, if you're not subscribed to the YouTube channel, make sure you do that by clicking the bell icon as well. Hit that subscribe button. And if you don't follow us on Instagram, as you can see on the ticker, we're almost at 4,000 followers, folks. I think we just hit 3,900 today. So make sure can't talk right now. Make sure you're following us on Instagram, X, all that good stuff. So I guess like for me, my final thoughts going into this Potter series is just keep doing the same thing. Like just get some runs on the board for Dakota Hudson, because again, you're pitching on the road. It's a pitcher's ballpark, of course. Yeah, the walls are in, and sometimes you'll have those homer games at San Diego, but again, just kind of get some runs on the board for Dakota, and at least try to get a win or two in San Diego. Because that can be definitely with the crowd there. Because I think, was it yesterday or the other day, they had the biggest crowd in Petco Park history. Of course, it was Dodgers. A lot of Dodgers fans showed up to that game, but just like just try to be competitive, because again, like I'm not expecting this to be a super good series for the Rockies, but hey, I mean, anything can happen. Just try to do your best against the Padres, because this is a team that actually is, they're doing okay. I mean, they're in second place in the National League West, so just be competitive.
Just stay sharp. Don't make mental mistakes. If you make one, move on. Stay tough, and don't let that somewhat hostile crowd, or I should say,
Yeah,
not hostile, but usually packed crowd in San Diego get to you, because I know
yeah,
I think the attendance trend, I think the Padres were in the top 5 in attendance this season, so they're definitely going to
mhm,
be major crowds at all three games. So again, let's just hang tough and be competitive, as you said, because I think we can carry this momentum into the series and have a chance to. Again, I'm not saying we're going to sweep. We're going to have another sweep, but we definitely can be competitive and hopefully not just take one game, but take the series
yeah. That
and
would be
and
yeah,
spoil things for the Padres. It's always,
absolutely, yeah.
as I commented about listening. I can't remember which one it was about, but when you're at the bottom of the division, it's always fun to spoil things for the teams at the top.
Yeah. Well, and I was just thinking about this too. Again, we're kind of going late here, but I was just thinking about this today. Like, I'm not saying that the Rockies have like given up already, but at the same time, though, you have to have that talk and saying, "Hey, we're probably not going to make the playoffs. Let's just like play some spoiler baseball. Like, just try to get some of these teams off their track, annoy the crap out of these teams, like the Rangers. Like, you could tell the Rangers, they wanted to get out of Denver today. They were like, you know what, we're done. We want to get out of
Yeah.
here. We hate it here. Just do that. Do that for every team. Like, just annoy the heck out of them. Try to get some of those wins. That's what the Rockies need to do. Like, they're not going to make the playoffs. And there was somebody today that was like, "Hey, playoffs, like the mean playoffs." But like, it's not going to happen, folks. Like, we love to see the playoffs here in Denver, like, of course, this year, but it's not going to happen. Again, we're probably going to see another 100 last season, but the Rockies, they might surprise some people. I mean, but this is a rebuilding team. This is a team that's gonna still have their struggles, and there's gonna be some games where you want gonna pull your hair out and throw something at the TV or whatever. Don't do that. But there's going to be some of those games, and again, it's not going to be a playoff year, but for the Rockies, the best that they can do is just play spoiler baseball, and that's what they should really focus on this year, and try to do that against the Padres. So, again, make sure you're staying tuned to the YouTube channel, all that good stuff, for more Rockies updates and
Mhm.
more Rockies recaps. Again, we have the podcast coming on Thursday night. Make sure you're staying tuned from that, because we're going to be on for probably right around an hour. Again, we kind of went long today, but again, we're kind of excited after a sweep against the Rangers. I don't know if you can tell. Take that, Rangers, world champions of what? But anyways, great series for the Rockies. Looking forward to the series starting tomorrow in San Diego. Hopefully the Rockies can continue the success, or at least try to, and maybe win a series in San Diego, because I feel like it's been a long time since we've done that. So,
Mm.
yeah, again, just keep the momentum going, is really the name of the game for the Rockies here. I think that'll do it, folks. Hope you guys have a great night. Have a great Monday. Stay safe out there. Have a great week. We'll see you on Wednesday for the Padres and Rockies series recap. And then we'll talk to you guys on Thursday, the day after that, for our regular podcast episode. As always, everyone, go Rockies.